Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. You guys can subscribe. That'd be great. You guys get notification every time we put up a new video, as we are in the midst of a Miami Dolphins game week, and the Cheetah was holding court today, and he had his trolling shoes on today. He was up there telling whoppers. You know, he was sitting there and he was telling everybody he couldn't find it. I haven't seen Odell Beckham for a week. I don't know where the hell he is. I don't know. And then he's like, I shouldn't have said that. And then, you know, all of his teammates are laughing about it on social media, and he's being a rascal. And that's what Odell Beckham does. He goes out there and he stretches the truth. I don't want to call him a blatant liar. I would never say that. But, you know, he tells whoppers. That's what goes on there. But he had some really funny things. He did say, though, that was an interesting thing. I don't know if this is going to be true or not, but it has been mentioned, offense and defense, both sides of the ball have said that this is a more close-knit group. This is a closer, cohesive unit. There's a lot of hanging out outside of the football field, football facilities, and whatnot. As an aside, I saw today was the charity event, the Jason Taylor Foundation's Back to School event, and I saw Jalen Phillips there. He beat science. Leroy was there, and I really wanted to say, "Hey, Leroy, tell him how he beat science." I didn't do that, though, because the event was about to start. I didn't want to embarrass Leroy. I didn't want to get karate chopped in the throat. But I will say, a moose, very, very large individual who beat science. And I also, next to him, was his fellow Kane, Braxton Berrios, to which I immediately thought, how does Braxton Berrios survive anybody the size of Jalen Phillips hitting them? Like, this man is a psychotic for being able to make a living at his size doing what he does. But looking forward to their season. This is going to be a great one. And the Cheetah had some interesting things to say today, which we'll get to, but as did Doug Pederson, who loves the visor, won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles, Philly Special, had his own trick plays. But I told you guys in the other video, if you didn't hear, it's fine. But this is going to be an interesting thing for Jacksonville, because they have a new defensive coordinator like the Dolphins do. But where the Dolphins, a lot of their tinkering and testing has been up front and getting used to guys, and guys are getting used to roles, and not all those guys have been there too much. You know, Benito Jones just returning to practice. For the Jaguars, it's that secondary. You know, the Jaguars are testing a lot of guys out there, and this is going to be a hell of a first test. And I do think if you're the Dolphins, you have to be licking your chops a little bit to try and test that and try your speed demons against them. But Doug Pederson knows this is a first big test that they got to go up against in Miami.
Yeah, to kind of address the second part of your question there, this is a lot of team speed. These guys got a lot of skill and ability, obviously, on offense, and they just know how to attack a secondary. And we've revamped ours, and I think the scheme that Ryan has brought and Chris has brought, I think, has really helped our guys. And we do have some young players, back there that have, I would say, don't have a lot of game reps, but great opportunity for our guys to really focus in this week. I mean, I look forward to Tyson and Darby and, the guys to just compete and, see what happens. But a lot of respect for Miami, a lot of respect for their skill positions. And, even with their quarterback Tua, I think, he does a great job of getting the ball out of his hand and anticipating windows, and those guys make plays.
There you go. Doug Pederson, who, of course, had a front row seat to a lot of Dan Marino's action when he was on the Dolphins. But, yeah, that's definitely something that Miami's going to have to take advantage of, as on the other side of it, like, they got to be able to withstand the pass rush that Jacksonville is bringing. They do have some talented guys who can get after the QB, but as Doug mentioned there, Tua gets rid of the ball really fast, and it can be tough to get for him. It can be tough to get to him. But with Tyreek Hill, he talked about this whole idea that he hasn't seen Odell, but Odell has brought a big sense of camaraderie to the team. That a lot of the reason that he feels that the team is together is because of Odell Beckham. And even Tua has talked about this. He says, he hasn't gotten a chance to be on the field with Odell, but he spent a lot of time with Odell Beckham. And whether that's going to be beneficial for the Dolphins, I think it is. I mean, what could the harm be? You hope only in a case like communication-wise you can go to your teammates and, be more forthright with them. What does it take to get them up to speed? What does it take to get them to where they need to be at to contribute on this roster? But I think perhaps the best thing that Tyreek Hill today said, he said two things that I thought were exciting. One was the idea that Mike McDaniel has given the keys to the offense to Tua Tagovailoa.
I definitely see that. Tua has done a great job of, over communicating exactly what he wants as far as details and routes. And Mike, our head coach, he has given him the keys to the car, which is even more of a beautiful thing, man. So I believe with that, that gives all of us the ability to play free, and just be ourselves and just be creative within our routes.
So I think with that, it's an interesting thing because, it sounds like, Tua's gained even more trust from Mike McDaniel. These guys are not only, tied since they've been there, but now contractually tied through their extensions to each other. And so, I think only natural that the trust is there. He also said that Tua is talking too much now, too, though. That Tua just won't shut up. Everybody's talking about how vocal Tua is. And Tyreek Hill's like, it's hear him everywhere. And I just tell him Tua to shut up, which I can relate to. As a person, I got two kids, and I would say my oldest, much more chatty than my youngest. But it's funny, it's almost to an overwhelming point where whenever my oldest goes to their grandparents for whatever, right? And my youngest stays home with us, all of a sudden, boom, the spotlight's on them, and it's and you're just like, I didn't even realize you could talk this much, and now it's how do I get it to stop? Because I thought you were the quiet one. So I think that's what the thing is with Tua. They've opened up a can of everybody wanted to talk about be vocal. Now they can't get Tua to bottle up. They're gonna have that's what they got. They got a chatty Tua the rest of the way. The other great thing that he said was on his counterpart, Jaylen Waddle. And this was my favorite part of the press conference from Tyreek Hill today because I think it speaks to the growth of a young player, a guy that I think that that Tyreek has a lot of respect for. And he was saying that he thinks he should be an all-pro this season, that this is a guy who is taking notes. He is, inquiring from Tyreek and River Craycraft all the little intricacies of the offense, and that he believes that all-pro should be within Jaylen Waddle's grasp. Not only that, he thinks he could be the Finns' best wide receiver. Now, I had this take. This was my flashy take last year. I was like, I think Jaylen Waddle's going to outperform Tyreek Hill. Wildly wrong. And I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. But it is at an interesting standpoint because now that they both have their contracts, they're really, everybody's always, your performances are always judged in the NFL. It does feel like there's a little less pressure on that for both of these guys of who wants this. Now, Tua's already given voice to this. Jaylen Waddle was stupendous last year when they were actively trying to feed Tyreek Hill the football, which really speaks to his character. I see no reason why that wouldn't be the case this year. But if you are feeling froggy about it, the odds, these are via FanDuel this year for most receiving yards in the NFL. Cheetah is the favorite. He is plus 600, so 6-1 for Cheetah. Jaylen Waddle, he's plus 4,000. So there's a little extra juice there if you're interested in that. Most receiving touchdowns, Cheetah is plus 1,000, a slight favorite over CeeDee Lamb, according to FanDuel. Jaylen Waddle is plus 6,500 to have the most receiving touchdowns in the NFL this year. And then finally, the other thing they have up there is Offensive Player of the Year. Cheetah is also the favorite for that. Tyreek Hill is plus 750 to win that. Jaylen Waddle to be Offensive Player of the Year, plus 15,000. In actuality, there's Tyreek Hill plus 750. The next closest Dolphin is actually Devon Achane at plus 6,000, which is among the likes of Devontae Adams, C.J. Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Kyron Williams, Deebo Samuel, Drake London is about plus 5,000. So Travis Etienne, for example, who they're facing this week, he's plus 7,500. So Devon Achane, kind of a sexy pick everybody's kind of throwing in this Dolphins offense. Raheem Mostert's plus 10,000. I thought some of the Raheem Mostert, just as an aside, the rushing props for Raheem Mostert, some of them were pretty juicy. But as far as Jaylen Waddle is concerned, yeah, plus 15,000 to be Offensive Player of the Year this year, if you guys are into that type of thing. But to lead the league, this one I found interesting because, mind you, he led this category last year. To lead the league in rushing touchdowns this year on FanDuel, Derrick Henry's the favorite, plus 550. Christian McCaffrey's plus 850. And Raheem Mostert is all the way down. He is tied with Devon Achane in this, plus 2,800. The both of them are plus 2,800. So if you think of Dolphin, and something they did last year, Cheetah up there to repeat. But the aging Raheem Mostert, they do not believe can repeat that feat that he did last year. So keep that in mind. But anyway, getting back to Waddle and the All-Pro thing, this is an exciting thing to see. I think, for one, durability. As long as he's out there, I think a durable Jaylen Waddle who's out there has this grand ability. I do think that there's, still questions about maybe some big-time catches or tough catches. He's had some tough drops. He's had some bad, untimely turnovers in certain games going back going back a couple of years. So there are definitely some things to polish up. But, the talent's undeniable. Best touchdown dance you've ever seen. Who doesn't love Fins for the win? Apparently they are selling, stuffed penguins with Jaylen Waddle jerseys on them at the stadium. You're welcome, Garfinkel. Had that goal mine since you drafted him. So, yeah, could he make All-Pro? I think it's a big ask. Because I do think that this still is Cheetah's team. Even if he is maybe on the end of his prime and Jalen's just entering the prime, it still is Cheetah's team. He's still the biggest needle mover. If there's a heat parallel I could give to you, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Pat Riley, even if Bam is looked upon as the next generation guy and the coach's favorite and all the things, kind of like Mike McDaniel is with Jaylen Waddle, the biggest needle mover is still Jimmy Butler. And in this team, the biggest needle mover is still Tyreek Hill. So I don't know if that's going to change to a point where you could have two All-Pros on one team. But I think to Cheetah's point, even that's not a this year possibility, it could be. It definitely could be. And I think that's an exciting thing to think about for him. Even if he went through some adversity last year, this could be a much cleaner year. And, you were a little bit iffy about it because he got off to a tremendous start in training camp, then got banged up again. Doesn't seem like it was anything major than just being overly precautionary, as this coaching staff tends to be. But this is where it all starts. It all starts with this. And, yeah, man, interesting stuff from the Cheetah today. By the way, also an interesting thing from Zack Sealer, who got very emotional today because he is named team captain. And first time in his career, D2 player to a team captain, cut multiple times to a team captain. And I love Zack Sealer. And, you saw into those hypnotizing eyes, get a little puffy today because of the journey that he's been on. And, he's spoken a little bit. I heard this in the Levitard interview that he did and some other press sessions that he did this year about just the responsibility he felt to not only up the energy, but up the leadership for this team with Christian Wilkins gone. Christian Wilkins was a captain last year. And, I think that he's definitely been the example of that, and now he's really one of the faces of this defense. I think that on the D-line, Wilkins was always the face, and now it's Zack Sealer's turn. And as an aside, guys, we kind of did it. I'm kind of Wilkins questioned out with Zack Sealer. He's got a new best friend now. His name is Calais Campbell. And look, it was a beautiful thing. We all got goosies from the Christian Wilkins Zack Sealer montage, but it's time to move on now. And it's Christian Wilkins is in Las Vegas. It's the new season, and Zack Sealer and Calais Campbell are now BFFs, and that's how it's going to be. And they will be, I don't know what's going to be their theme song, because I don't imagine you want to match theme songs like you did with your old defensive line mate. But enough of the Christian Wilkins questions. Zack Sealer is ready to take the mantle, and stop trying to get him emotional about it.